Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Mafia 2 video discussion. So in the third and fourth section we'll talk about a specific DLC mission that you play with Joe. We'll also talk about Joe. We'll also see some problems that can happen during missions. They're not necessarily something that I could reproduce. I think they might happen for some people and for others not so much. There's also going to be a section where we'll talk about the drag function. We'll also see some funny clips, including the AI being just like a deadly Terminator, and we will explore what the game did right. So let's start with Marty's mission. So in this mission, basically you have to go save Marty because he is in big trouble. So okay, it's a rescue mission. So when you get to the metro, you can see on the top left corner telling you to go to the station and save Marty. So you get there, and I'd like to mention how weird it is that there is police presence in what looks like a gunfight. So anyway, this isn't the most inconsistent thing about this mission. So when you kill the first wave,
it's me, Joe.
Joe goes, "It's me, Joe." But you see, Marty looks dead, like a doornail. I mean, look at that, that's one dead guy. Now, on the top left corner, it says to drag his body. We'll talk about the drag function later, but you realize that the rescue mission has failed, so why do I need to drag his body? Maybe we need to bury the guy. But then, when you get Marty in the car, it says to drag him to the doctor before he dies. So Marty isn't dead, I just dragged his body. So anyway, let's speak about the drag function. It doesn't look like it works all the time, and at first you can see me here switching between having a weapon and between the hand. The reason why I did this is because I thought that if you had a weapon on hand, then the function bugged. Even though the game automatically switches to the hand. See, that's what just happened. The game switches to the hand when you want to drag the body. So it was only a coincidence that it happened to work with the hand, and it happened to bug out when I had a weapon selected. So later I realized that it wasn't really the case. So I tried a lot more things. I tried grabbing while running without letting go of the joystick. I tried stopping first. I also tried selecting the weapon, deselecting it. I tried a lot of things. And in every one of these cases, the results were not conclusive. Like sometimes it would still work and sometimes it wouldn't. At the end, I realized that it was a matter of positioning, which doesn't make sense. If the prompt appears, then it should work. It shouldn't appear if the function isn't active. I mean, this is a PS3 game. There are PS2 games that don't have this problem, like Hitman Blood Money, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. I mean, yes, sure, I'm mentioning some titans of gaming, but still, this is a PS3 game. So what I'm doing here is just using the tiles to measure how far or close I have to be to a limb to be able to catch it. Luckily, this isn't something that you have to do on many missions. I think only in the Marty one that it's mandatory. So anyway, let's talk about Joe. Joe is a pretty cool character. I really like him, the way he talks and his personality. He's a very witty character. But sometimes he does some weird things. Like in here, we had set up an ambush where Joe goes on one door and I go on the other. But when we opened the door, the guys were hiding between the two doors. And in another instance,
Quiet, Vito. Since when are you concerned about making noise?
there he
There's
is,
too many of them.
setting
Just
up
take 'em
a
out
sneaking
nice and
sequence. So he tells you, let's just sneak around. So when we get there, he goes out, guns blazing. I mean, what? Why? What is the purpose of setting up a scenario that is not going to work? Now, to be fair, this didn't happen all the time. However, the sneaking sequence still doesn't make sense because in this room you can't go beyond this entrance without getting caught. So the game sets up a sneaking sequence that just can't happen. I don't understand it. It's a pretty common thing for video games to set up ambushes and things like that. If you succeed, that's fine, but if you don't, the game still runs normally. So, still in the same sequence, I tried taking out this guy, but as you saw, something happened, but I still managed to take him out without raising the alarm. However, Joe seems to have been stuck in combat mode. Like, there's nobody here. And he's hiding, taking cover, and it's like he's fighting someone on the ceiling, but there's nothing, there's nobody, maybe just this guy, but it's not a combat sequence. We're still in sneaking mode. In this room, which is the same mission, you can see him acting like a Tourette. Look, it's it's kind of funny, but still, what is that? I don't get it, but I still I have to admit that it was it's funny to watch. And it's even funnier when he does it crouching like that. His torso is twisting like there's no tomorrow. And still in the same room, it looked like he was also suffering from the inactive AI syndrome, of which we had spoken in the first video. And he also gets shot, but he doesn't react. So I thought I'd include this one, because why not? But you can see here Joe mindlessly shooting through obstacles. But to be fair, this is fairly common in video games, where when the AI is locked onto an enemy, even if the enemy goes behind an obstacle, the lock system remains active. So anyway, let's talk about Joe's eyes. This is the first time that I noticed Joe's eyes were always looking to his left. At first I thought that it was, part of him because it makes him look witty and whimsical. But then I realized that it was some type of weird bug, because his eyes are normally active, but I realized that they aren't working right. So I started experimenting and to see if his eyes would look at Vito at any moment. And as you can see in here, they look fine, but when you go to the side, they just lock to his left and his head does this weird clipping thing. So what I've come to understand is that there is some small cone of sight, if you will, where the eyes will work normally. If you get out of this cone, either to the left or the right, then the eyes just lock to the left and his head does this movement that you can see here. And if you can stand right in between the end of the cone and the outside of it, then you can see the eyes starting to weirdly oscillate, like you can see here. It was kind of hard to get, but there they are. You can see them like oscillating. I don't know if you can see that movement. I think you can. And by the way, the same thing happened with Mario, but this is a cutscene. This looks normal, but just wait for it.
He's holed up at that observatory of his. You know something's up. Carlo Falcone is a lot of things, but stupid ain't one of them.
Now look at that. That's not... that. It's so funny, the little kitten face the Chinese guy does. But yeah, so Liu, now it's the other side. It's like Liu is so pissed at Vito that he's having a stroke or something. That looks downright terrifying. And there was another problem during the cutscene. Like, look at this. I mean, would it have been possible to make sure that your cutscenes are running normally and are not some freak fest or something? I mean, this is not a remaster, it's like a copy-paste for it to have this many issues. I mean, sure, it doesn't affect the gameplay, but still, it's quite indicative of the
Where'd
work
you get
behind
this?
this
I talked
quote-unquote
to a few people I trust.
remaster.
Okay, so what does this have to do with us?
Cause if he can do it, why can't we? A kilo of heroin costs $2,500 over in France. Then it's another $1,000 to get it here.
And?
And we pick up 11 grand for just driving the stuff to the dealers. That's $7,500 profit a kilo.
Yeah, but what about Falcone?
Paolo won't find out.
So let's move on. Now I want to talk about the mission where you have to warn Leo. So I got through his gate, and when I got to the stairs, the house did this. I tried to advance more with the car, but it didn't work. So I got out and I tried to go in. Normally there's a cutscene here that happens, but nothing happened. I went inside the house before the timer went off, ran out, before the timer ran out, and nothing happened. So I lost in here, like I failed the mission in here. So then I tried again, though this time the gate would not budge. It's like there's a wall in here, and I tried several times with different cars, and I don't get it. I don't understand why. Later I realized that you have to get out of the car and open the gate manually, but why? And this is not the first time that I go off script, even the slightest, and the game doesn't run the mission like it should. And you saw that it is possible to blow out the
They're
gate.
coming after us.
In this mission, I had also previously gone off script, where I just got out of the car and tried to shoot everyone. But the next try, the car would not move. Like right here, the car isn't moving. I'm trying to go, but it's not. So when you go off script, including getting out of your car, when you have total liberty to do that, the game will bug or something, because you're supposed to lose your pursuers. So I got out and shot them before what you're seeing here, and then the game gave me this bug. So it seems like you can't go off script even the slightest. You can have no creativity, no freedom, no nothing. In this mission, the pursuee's car would suddenly stop for no good reason. And it doesn't do it at the same spot, but it's a different spot all the time, but it still does it. And also, starting from the 9th mission, I think, you have two main objectives all the time. There is one that's stuck at your old home. So you always have, you can see on the bottom right corner, you always have two objectives. You can mitigate this by placing a custom marker, so it's gonna show a green line, but it's still annoying. So let's take a look at enemies being excessively deadly, even for a hard difficulty. And this is what I had meant by inconsistent. Like sometimes they're excessively good and sometimes they're excessively stupid. Like for example, in this case, you can see them running towards me, spraying their weapons and not stopping. I mean, I have no chance in here. You'll also see plenty of those stumble kills. In this case, he shoots me mid-fall, and I know when this is going to happen because you can see the crosshair remaining active even though he died. That's impressive. In this one you can see one of those animation problems. Look at that. Did you see that? Look at this. He's not even pointing his gun at me. He's shooting at the ground and I still take damage. This is one of the most beautiful headshots I've ever seen. Look at that. And that was with a shotgun. I'm getting sniped with a shotgun. This guy kills me mid-stumble. Mid-stumble. Isn't that impressive? Boom. This guy kills me immediately at peak. This makes me think that maybe there is some input reading, or at least in the hard difficulty there is some input reading, because that happens just too often. In this instance, he shoots the very tip of my elbow and that's how I die. The tip. Same thing here. I mean, it looked like I was completely in cover, but whatever. This is another running Terminator. Yep. Another mid-stumble kill. Single shot. Oh, this is the best one, look at that. Wow. Didn't even look. Shot the ground and I died. There it is. That's beautiful. So let's have some lighthearted fun. In here, I mean, I know that this is not interesting to most people, but I find things like this interesting. Why does he keep circling around? See, he stops, and I mean, at this point he got mad, but I didn't understand why he kept circling around. This is a police officer taking a bribe through a window, and then this weird interaction happened.
Stay right where you are.
Yeah, innocent. I thought I'd include this because it's not a bad thing, but still, like, there was this random taxi driver who just came into oncoming traffic and caused me to go off the ledge. Look, you can see the headlight crossing over in the middle of the screen, and I don't know what happened there. I've never seen this happen again, ever. But that's nice. Random accidents, that's a good thing. This one is a peach. Just wait for it.
Fuck off, will you?
Yep. I didn't do anything. So anyway, let's move on to the next section. What the game did right. First of all, I wanna address one action that I thought was interesting and smart, but that I could not reproduce. In here I stopped and I wanted to change cars, but the car reversed so that Vito can get out. That wasn't me. The game did that, and I thought that was interesting. So I tried to reproduce the same action, but I couldn't. I don't know why. This was like the garage door mission where the game suddenly ran the mission logically and never did that same thing again. I mean, I tried everything. I tried next to other cars, to a post. I tried different types of obstacles, but all that happens is that they just clip out of the car. I'd also like to mention that this game has the most beautiful mirrors I've ever seen. Even more recent games don't have mirrors like this. I don't know why, and I know that it's not a matter of processing or anything, because this is a PS3 game and it has beautiful mirrors. So let's move on to my favorite thing in this game, the driving with simulation mode on. The driving is fantastic. I really loved it. I mean, Joe's gonna say something that's funny here.
What is this, the Indianapolis Speedway?
Yes, that's how I treat the streets. Like, there are so many nice streets that you can just see how fun it is to drive around. Plenty of corners, plenty of like right hand turns, left hand turns, double apexes. I mean, this is a turn that I did a lot because it's just so nice to do. And the game is, I mean, I know that it's not Assetto Corsa Competizione, but it's still pretty loyal and representative of what causes a oversteer and understeer. When the wheels lock, what is the effect of that? Too much throttle or not enough, too much braking. If you jerk or tap the joysticks, you can upset the balance. Now this is a nice double apex. So yeah, you can upset the balance of the cars, so you can't just drive, you have to be smooth. High-speed driving feels very unforgiving, and especially when you're not used to a car. Every car is different, they act different, and correcting oversteer in high speed feels quite exhilarating, like in this instance. Driving on the rain feels different, like you slip a lot easier, you oversteer a lot more. and if you don't know the car, then it can be unpredictable in high speeds and also unforgiving as well. You could misjudge the braking distance if the previous car to which you were used had a shorter braking distance. I mean, it's a very big disappointment that there is no free roam mode in Mafia 2. There was one in the first Mafia, so why would they remove it? I mean, if they worked so hard on the driving, how come that there's no free roam mode? There should be one. This makes no sense. There's no reason to not allow the player to roam freely in the streets and giving access to every car upon completion of the game. I mean, if I completed the game, then it isn't too much to ask to have all of the cars so that I can have fun with them. I mean, there was a race mission in the first one. In the second one, I would have at least expected a racetrack that I can go to and race freely, or maybe just a race mode, or maybe that's too much to ask. Just a racetrack would have been enough, especially with the unbelievably powerful cars that are available in Mafia 2. So a racetrack would make sense. They clearly put a lot of work on this, and I'm glad that at least one thing is very well crafted. Like, you have plenty of different streets and different routes to take to simulate some type of racetrack. In here there's this chicane like S that's very fun to do, and if your car jumps, you have to be careful on the landing and you have to angle it right for the next corner. This is another double apex that I like. I slowed down a little bit too much there, but it's a lot of fun with any car. Even the slow cars, they're fun to go around doing corners with them. And if you're not used to some certain car, you can understeer if you're used to a car that tends to oversteer, like in this instance. In some other instances, you might misjudge the braking distance, like I had mentioned, and this is also, it can be unforgiving, especially on rain. And you could correct a oversteer, like in here. This is like, I tried to correct an oversteer because I anticipated it, but there was no oversteer because the previous car had a tendency to oversteer very easily. So you really have to get used to the car because they all act so differently. And this is the same turn, I'm sure you recognize it now. Going up hills feels different from going downhill, and with every different car that same corner feels different. Like, I enjoyed the driving so much that I would purposefully go up the bridge just to do this chicane. It doesn't even look friendly to drive through, but there are two of these on the bridge and I always go up there just for that. So anyway, thank you for sticking around. It was quite fun making this video, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make some more because I've had plenty of experiences like these. So thank you again for sticking around, and I will be seeing you on my next video.